Have you ever wondered if your prayers truly matter? Could the words we whisper to God really alter the course of our lives? The Bible says yes. Ordinary people through prayer experience God's extraordinary power. King Hezekiah faced impossible odds and trusted in God. His story is a beacon of hope for us today. King Hezekiah's story takes us back to a time of great turmoil in Judah. The Assyrian army, a formidable force known for its ruthlessness, was at their doorstep. Hezekiah, a man of deep faith, knew that the fate of his nation rested on his shoulders. But Hezekiah faced another battle, one that raged within his own body. He was struck by a deadly illness. The Bible tells us that his life hung precariously in the balance. The outlook was bleak. In the face of such adversity, Hezekiah could have easily given in to despair, but he chose a different path. He turned to the one source of strength and hope he knew: prayer. Hezekiah's story, though ancient, is incredibly relevant for us today. It reminds us that prayer is not merely a religious ritual, but a lifeline to the divine. It's a direct channel to the God who hears our pleas and responds with love and compassion. In a world often consumed by fear and uncertainty, Hezekiah's story offers a beacon of hope. It reminds us that even when we face what seems impossible, God is still in control. His power has no limits and his love knows no bounds. As we delve into the story of King Hezekiah, prepare to be inspired by the transformative power of prayer. This is a story of faith, courage, and the unwavering belief in a God who can move mountains. It's a story that continues to resonate with people from all walks of life, offering comfort, encouragement, and a renewed sense of hope. The weight of his kingdom pressed heavily on Hezekiah's shoulders, yet it was his own mortality that brought him to his knees. The news from his physicians was grim. His illness was terminal. His days, they declared, were numbered. Imagine the fear that must have gripped his heart, the thought of leaving his people, his family, his unfinished work. The Bible paints a poignant picture of Hezekiah's despair. He turned his face to the wall, shutting out the world and all its beauty. But even in his darkest hour, a flicker of hope remained. He remembered the God of his ancestors, the God who had parted the Red Sea and toppled the walls of Jericho. Could this same God, the God of miracles, heal him? Hezekiah, with a heart heavy with sorrow, poured out his soul to God. His prayer wasn't a rehearsed recitation of empty words, but a raw and honest cry for help. He wept openly, tears tracing paths through the dust on his cheeks. He reminded God of his faithfulness, his unwavering commitment to serving him with all his heart. He pleaded for mercy, not because he felt entitled, but because he knew God was a God of compassion. His prayer was a testament to his unwavering faith, even in the face of death. His words echoed through the silence of his chamber, a poignant plea for life, for more time. He wasn't bargaining, but simply expressing the deepest desires of his heart. He yearned to see his people flourish, to witness the promises of God unfold. While Hezekiah's prayer hung in the air, a messenger arrived at the palace. It was the prophet Isaiah, a man known for delivering God's word with unwavering conviction. He entered Hezekiah's chamber, his face etched with a mixture of sorrow and divine purpose. Isaiah's words, however, weren't what Hezekiah expected. He didn't offer false hope or comforting platitudes. Instead, he delivered a sobering message. God had heard Hezekiah's prayer, but his time had come. He was to put his affairs in order, for he would not recover. The news hit Hezekiah like a physical blow. His heart, already heavy with illness, felt like it would shatter. Had God abandoned him? Was this the end? Isaiah, his mission delivered, turned to leave, leaving the king alone with his thoughts. As Isaiah's footsteps faded into the distance, Hezekiah felt a surge of grief and despair wash over him. His body ached, but the pain in his heart was far greater. Was this truly the end? Had his prayers fallen on deaf ears? He refused to accept this fate. Turning his face back to the wall, he clung to the last vestiges of his faith. He had served God faithfully, had he not? He had led his people with justice and compassion. Surely God would not abandon him now. Hezekiah knew that true prayer wasn't just about asking for things. It was about surrendering to God's will, no matter how difficult it might seem. So, with a heavy heart but a resolute spirit, he poured out his soul once more. This time, Hezekiah's prayer wasn't a plea for healing, but a heartfelt expression of surrender. He acknowledged God's sovereignty, his right to give and take away. He wept, not tears of self-pity, but tears of acceptance and unwavering trust. Through his tears, Hezekiah reminded God of his commitment to his service. He spoke of the reforms he had implemented, the idols he had torn down, the ways he had sought to honor God in all he did. His voice, though weak, resonated with sincerity. He wasn't bargaining for his life, but expressing the deepest desires of his heart, to witness God's faithfulness, to see his promises fulfilled. Bursting into Hezekiah's chamber, Isaiah's face radiated with joy. Gone was the solemnity of his previous visit, replaced by a radiant smile. "Hezekiah," he proclaimed, "the Lord has heard your prayer. He has seen your tears, and he has granted you 15 more years of life." Hezekiah, still weak from his illness, could scarcely believe his ears. 15 more years? It seemed impossible. Yet he knew in his heart that Isaiah spoke the truth. God, in his infinite mercy, had spared his life. But God's compassion didn't end there. To assure Hezekiah of his promise, God offered a remarkable sign. The shadow on the sundial, a testament to the passage of time, would miraculously move backwards 10 degrees. It was a sign that defied human understanding, a testament to God's power over the very fabric of time. Hezekiah's miraculous healing brought immense joy to the people of Judah. They celebrated God's mercy, their hearts overflowing with gratitude for their beloved king's restored health. However, a dark cloud still loomed on the horizon. The Assyrian army, a formidable force that had swept across the ancient world, had set its sights on Jerusalem. Led by the ruthless king Sennacherib, they had already conquered many nations, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Fear gripped the hearts of the people. The mighty Assyrians were known for their brutality, their utter disregard for human life. They had built their empire on fear and subjugation, and now they were at Judah's doorstep. Hezekiah, despite his newfound lease on life, knew that his kingdom faced its greatest test. The Assyrians were a force unlike any Judah had ever encountered. Their military might seemed insurmountable, their victory inevitable. Yet Hezekiah refused to give in to despair. He had witnessed God's power firsthand, had experienced his miraculous healing touch. Surely the God who could turn back time could also deliver his people from this formidable enemy. He gathered his people and reminded them of God's faithfulness. He spoke of the Exodus from Egypt, the parting of the Red Sea, the countless times God had delivered his people from seemingly impossible odds. His words, filled with conviction, ignited a spark of hope in their hearts. That night, under a sky ablaze with stars, a profound silence fell over the Assyrian camp. The usual sounds of soldiers preparing for battle, the neighing of horses, the clang of armor, were strangely absent. An eerie stillness hung in the air, a harbinger of something extraordinary. Unbeknownst to the unsuspecting Assyrians, the angel of the Lord had descended from heaven, his mission to deliver Judah from the hand of their enemies. With a swiftness that defied human comprehension, he moved through the camp, his presence unseen, his purpose unwavering. The angel's touch was silent but deadly. One by one, Assyrian soldiers succumbed to a mysterious plague, their bodies collapsing lifelessly to the ground. Panic and confusion swept through the camp as the invisible hand of God wreaked havoc upon their ranks. The morning sun cast a golden glow over a scene of utter devastation. The once mighty Assyrian army now lay scattered across the plains, lifeless. The silence of death hung heavy in the air, a stark contrast to the previous day's boasts and threats. The God of Hezekiah had triumphed. News of the miraculous deliverance spread like wildfire through Jerusalem. The people rejoiced, their hearts overflowing with gratitude for their king and for the God who had fought for them. Hezekiah, humbled by this incredible display of divine power, led his people in a heartfelt service of thanksgiving. Yet, amidst the celebrations, a seed of pride began to take root in Hezekiah's heart. The miraculous healing, the divine intervention against the Assyrians, the admiration of his people, all these served to inflate his ego, clouding his judgment. Hezekiah, once known for his humility and his unwavering faith, gradually began to distance himself from God. He allowed the praise of men to fill the void that only God could fill. He began to rely more on his own wisdom, his own strength, forgetting the source of his true power. This shift in Hezekiah's heart did not go unnoticed. The prophet Isaiah, his faithful counselor, observed with growing concern the king's increasing pride and self-reliance. He warned Hezekiah of the dangers of straying from God's path, reminding him that pride always precedes a fall. Hezekiah, blinded by his own self-importance, dismissed Isaiah's warnings as the ramblings of an old man. He surrounded himself with yes-men, courtiers more interested in pleasing their king than speaking the truth. The once united kingdom began to show cracks, the seeds of discord sown by Hezekiah's pride. Hezekiah's pride led him to make a series of disastrous decisions. He formed alliances with foreign powers, trusting in their empty promises rather than seeking God's guidance. He neglected the needs of his people, focusing instead on amassing wealth and power for himself. The kingdom, once a beacon of hope in a troubled world, began to crumble from within. Injustice and corruption flourished while the poor and the vulnerable were forgotten. Hezekiah's reign, which had begun with such promise, descended into a shadow of its former glory. As Hezekiah lay on his deathbed, the weight of his mistakes pressed down upon him. The 15 extra years granted by God as a testament to his mercy had been squandered. He had chosen pride over humility, self-reliance over faith, and in doing so he had jeopardized the very future of his kingdom. The story of King Hezekiah stands as a powerful testament to the transformative power of prayer. It reminds us that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, God hears our pleas and responds with compassion and might. Hezekiah's heartfelt prayer moved the very heart of God, prompting him to intervene in extraordinary ways. This story serves as a beacon of hope for all who face trials and tribulations. It encourages us to approach the throne of grace with boldness, knowing that our prayers have the power to shape our destiny. Hezekiah's reign shows the power of faith and humility, but also the dangers of pride and self-reliance. His blessings became stumbling blocks, leading him astray. Success can inflate our ego and blind us to our need for God. True strength lies in our dependence on God. Hezekiah's legacy reminds us of the impact of our choices. Live each day with eternity in view, honoring God. True greatness is found in humble obedience to God. Learn from Hezekiah's triumphs and failures. Embracing prayer and humility in seeking God's will, we find purpose, peace, and joy.